Thank you for listening to and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast. Today we have extremely special guest, once again for a third time, Alex Hernandez. How you doing, Alex?
What's happening, man? How's it going?
It's going. What's new, man?
Living. It's been a very busy summer here in New York. It's sweltering, but we're out here. We're doing the thing. I'm doing a play in LA, and I leave in a month, so I'll be gone for a little while. And I've just been dancing up a storm. Did a few indie movies in the last 6 months or so. So it's
I
been good.
love it. I love it. And we have our first comment from Cyberboy. Shout out to Cyberboy. You guys did an interview. I helped facilitate that, and I'm glad I did because that was a great interview. All right, my first question for you, Alex, is you're in Mindseye, this new game that has an amazing story, but the launch was pretty rough. What are your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, it was an incredible project to work on. It was super fun. Build a Rocket Boy is a great team, and they treated me really well. And it sucks when something comes out and there's a lot of anticipation and the reception is less than stellar, to be kind. And there are a bunch of reasons for that, and some of which I understand, and some of it's just different tastes, and some of it I don't understand. Frankly, some of it are choices I simply would not have made if I was in charge, and that's all right. I'm not. I did my job, and I think in life, as you alluded to before we started recording here, shit happens, and all you can do is control the things that are in your control, and everything else you just kind of got to let go to whatever you believe in, whether that's a personified God, the universe, energy, just entropy. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm always grateful for the opportunity, because it's not often you get to be the guy on the box of a video game. It just isn't. And so I'm grateful that I got to get in there and play. I really loved working on the project a lot. And I think that team has a ton of potential. The game looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. The story is really fun and interesting. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to hopefully getting to get back in there and continue moving on. And if not, then I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had.
I love it. I really do love the story of the game, and I think you did an amazing job, man. Like, Jacob Diaz is such a cool character because, once again, I know people were saying it wasn't layered, but I think there's gravitas, just like with Lincoln Clay. I really do. There's so much to it, and I think it's cool. I think the whole the backstory of him in the military and how he got the Mindseye chip and everything else about this story is really cool. So yeah, there's some irritating things about the way the game's made, but that's nothing to do with you. And there's some glitches, but they seem to have smoothed out. They've updated the game. I just played it yesterday. Yeah. And I've been playing Mafia 3 still because I love that game. I'm always going to be a huge champion for Mafia 3 because it's such a good game.
I appreciate that. I had a question. I did an interview recently, and the question was how is there any sort of feeling around the fact that both games that you've been the player character for sort of came out to a rocky reception, a bunch of glitches and mixed audience reception at best? And I had to admit, I'm not a superstitious person, but there does come a moment where you look in the mirror and you're like, is it me? Is it that what I touch turns to shit? And then you go, no, it's a different, yeah, you can only serve your function. That's it. And I do that to the best of my ability. And the feedback that I've gotten thus far is people being like, love the story, love your performance, have issues with XYZ in the game, whether it's glitches or just the gameplay itself. And that's all valid criticism. And so I did my job. That's it.
Yeah, and I do like the shooting, even though it's a little bare bones. I like the shooting. I think the shooting's pretty all right for a third-person shooter, and the graphics look great. So, I mean, I don't really have much issues with it aside from the launch. I'm having fun with it still. I haven't beat it yet. I'm taking my time with it. Nice. That's really what I'm doing because I really like the story. So I don't know. I think you did an amazing job. So I'm sorry that this happened twice, but please don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. You did nothing wrong.
It is what it is. And again, I think if anything, it's been a real exercise in serenity of just being look, you can only change what you can, and you have to accept the rest. And it really, when it happens on a public stage, for example, a massive video game that is helmed by a well-known developer, or not the company because it's their first game, but the CEO of the company being someone that people recognize and are it's anticipated. They're trying to see whatever's project is next, and having that serenity moment on such a grand scale, I don't know that, like 15-year-old me ever anticipated that. I
Yeah.
don't think little kids are sitting being like, I can't wait to have my character tested in public. But it happens. And like, you either rise to the occasion or you falter under the weight. And so it was like a shitty 48 hours immediately after it came out of being like, oh my God, my career in video games is over as we speak. And everyone thinks I'm an idiot and blah, blah, blah. And then
It's not.
Luckily, like, I also have a wonderful wife and a good support system of people that keep you grounded and remind you, like, this is a job. Yes, it's very high, it's very public facing and high profile, but like, it's a job. It's not who you are, and more so, you did your job. Projects fail, like things, and I won't even say that the game has failed. It's just I will say that the launch was a problem, right? Like the amount of glitches and the amount of things that did not function within the game itself. I am happy to concede, like, that's a problem. I wish it had not released in that state, because inevitably a lot of people are going to lose faith in the story and in the gameplay, in things that are not actually what all of those animators and developers at Build a Rocket Boy worked so hard on. They didn't work on making a glitchy game, you know what I mean? And when a game comes out with so many reports of people being like, I couldn't get past like 10 minutes without it crashing 15 times in a row, and being like, that unfortunately undermines a lot of people's very hard work. And yeah, I can't blame any consumer who's like, I paid $60 to like not be able to play the game that I paid for. And that's frustrating.
I had to wait a few weeks for it to smooth out before I could really play it.
Yeah.
But also on the other end of things, I mean, we're talking about Leslie Benzies, the director of the most profitable entertainment medium of all time. There's no fucking way that that could have been lived up to in any way, even if it didn't launch like that. You know what I mean? So like people's expectations were way too high. I knew what I was getting into because we've been talking about it for years. I mean, I've referenced Mindseye and the music for like a few years now. And I think it's a really cool concept, and I was prepped for what it is. It's a story-based game. It's more linear. It's not really open world, and that's okay. We need more of those. We don't have enough of those.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's, playable now, and there's a lot of glitches that have been removed. Yeah, it's a lot better. But to shift into my next question, you were talking about how you were filming the Peripheral during the recording of our first interview, which I still apologize for it not coming out. But you played Tommy Constantine, and that was a great character. What was it like working with Chloe Grace Moretz as well as the rest of the cast and crew?
Dude, she's such a gem. She's awesome. I have nothing but incredible things to say about her. She's a consummate professional. So like in terms of actually the work itself, not everyone, sure, it's no secret, not everyone in Hollywood shows up and is actually prepared to do their job. A lot of people show up and they wing it and they fake the funk, and they're handsome or pretty enough to get away with it. And she is absolutely not that kind of human. In fact, the whole cast is one of my favorite casts I've ever worked with. Like, everyone showed up ready to play, making cool choices. And I think because of the nature of that story, our cast is split. There's like two casts really, because there's the future cast and the present day, which is really like 5 years in the future. And so I didn't necessarily get to interact with everyone who was in the future world, because Tommy doesn't go into the future world until what would have been season 2, which is important. But
Amazon, bring it back, please.
We need to bring that shit back. It was really fun. But yeah, Chloe is such a wonderful actor, and more importantly, a brilliant human being. She's super kind, very generous, very down to earth, especially for someone who started as young as she did.
Yeah, her and I are the same age, and I'm a huge fan of Kick-Ass 1, and I know that she did most of her own stunts in that movie at 9 years old.
Yeah.
Or however old she was. I think she was like 12, but still, like, she did her own stunts in that movie, and that's still great. Kick-Ass still holds up. So I could see that from the beginning. That's why I had to ask.
And also, like, not for nothing, as another actor and craftsperson of this, like, she has such a cool instrument. She has an amazing voice for someone her size. She's a pretty petite person, but her voice has a lot of gravitas and carries a lot of command, and she has the kind of build in combination with her voice where she can play like small, coquettish, out of the way, or she can be the baddest ass person in the room. She could be the queen or the jester. And I'm really excited to see what she does for the rest of her career and how she grows into herself. She's still quite young,
Yeah.
like very, very young.
Yeah, she's not even 30 yet. So my thing is with that too, like I love when they give her more. I didn't like that they started typecasting her after Kick-Ass 2 and like these romantic comedy films. Like she has so much more to her than that. Like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
She does her own stunts. I mean, she did in the Peripheral too. I can see your face.
Yeah.
You know, that's, I mean, obviously she has a double, but she did a lot of her own stunts. So I think that's really fucking cool. So Hollywood, give her more action and heavy roles and not romantic comedy bullshit.
I would also love to see her in some more like heavy drama, like Oscar turn kind of things. Because, and I think what ultimately ends up happening too is in terms of typecasting, particularly when you're young, like she would have been figuring. I don't want to speak for her because I didn't get from the horse's mouth like the choices she's made throughout her career and why. I would guess as an outside observer, like when you're young and you're trying to build and establish your career, you fall in a lane and either you're having fun doing it, even if you're like, this isn't where I want to be forever, but I'm enjoying it right now, or it's what's coming to you. Like the industry itself is reinforcing that idea of you. And so you say, look, one, I have a mortgage. Two, I want to keep working and this is the work that is coming my way. And I think eventually you have to make a conscious choice to start saying no to things you're not interested in. And again, I don't want to speak for her because I don't know. Perhaps she was like, I'm loving this and having a great time.
Right.
And like, but if not, she would have to make a conscious choice to say, we're really going to change this up now. I'm going to like not work for a year and a half, 2 years and sort of reinvent myself. You see that pretty routinely. Like Matthew McConaughey did the same thing. With other actors who had to be like, I'm going to not work for a hot minute to basically reset how all of you see me.
I do have to circle back because we got another comment from Cyberboy, and he makes a very valid point. So shout out Cyberboy. The problem is you become the public face of the game despite your acting playing a small role in the development. You end up taking the backlash when you have no control over it. Yeah, that's very true. Very, very true. And that shouldn't be the case because Alex is amazing.
I appreciate that. But it comes part and parcel. It's like beyond the serenity thing, it's also the acceptance that in life, there are pros and cons to everything. One of the pros of being the guy on the box is that I get to have I have merch with my face on it. I have boxes in my studio that are like my face in a video game, right? And the con is that unfortunately it's your face on that game. So people will psychologically associate you with whatever emotions they have about that game, regardless of whether or not it's your work. And I have to accept that. That's part of the deal. It's also like when much higher list actors than me, A-list actors, talk about the perils of being famous. It's not that I have no, I appreciate that. It's not that I have no empathy for it. Of course I do, because being famous can be quite difficult and taxing on your nervous system. But that's part of why you get paid so much money and part of what you have to learn to navigate as a result of the choices you've made in your career. Putting yourself in a position where you're in public, you have to deal with shit like trolls on the internet. You have to deal with shit like fans mobbing you in public places. You have to interact with this stuff because it is part of the job you signed up for. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to feel a way about it. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. But that's the con of the pro, where you get to have nice free shit and you get to go on talk shows and you get to fly around the world and do cool jobs. That's the con, is that people want to talk to you and want part of your energy. And if you don't figure out a healthy way to interact with that, it'll drive you crazy.
Yep. Same with music, man. The overlap, like we talked about the last time. I mean, you think I don't get death threats for what I do, even though I'm just trying to make therapeutic music that helps people.
Yeah. Everybody's got an opinion. Like when you put something out in the public sphere, you have to interact with those opinions. It doesn't mean you have to interact with them meaningfully. Like I don't need to sit on YouTube and try and defend against every person who's like, this game is trash. Or like when Mafia came out, the amount of racist vitriol and bullshit. It was like, a black dude could never be in the Mafia. And it was like, I don't really have the energy to engage with this, but I also don't have the energy to try and shut you down, meaning like, I'm not going to go to YouTube or go around to every site and be like, anyone who doesn't think everything I touch is gold needs to be silenced. There's like,
there's no way of thinking there. Yeah, man. I love that. The fact that you handle all this shit in such a positive way, and it inspires me, because like I said, I've gotten shit for what I do. So when I see somebody else out here, in these big projects, and then people say things that I don't agree with. I'm not even jumping in. I just say I love the game. Like at the end of the day, like it's beautiful the way you handle it, and I love that.
Thanks, man.
So my next question for you is, oh shit, okay, we got another comment. Thank you. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's my buddy Corey. He messaged me beforehand saying how much he loved your role in Mafia 3. So I thought you did such a great job, so I had to put that on the screen.
Thanks,
Corey. Return for a potential Bloodshot 2. What would you like to see for your character for that potential sequel?
I would love to actually investigate Tibbs's backstory and his relationship with Bloodshot, like his actual. So here's something that I haven't really spoken about much. There was a point when we were filming where they basically just needed to add a scene, and I was having a beer with the director so Dave Wilson, who directed Bloodshot, I know him because he directed the release trailer for Mafia. So the trailer where Lincoln's in the car and he has someone tied up in the back and they're going to the swamp and he tosses him in. Dave directed that. And so I just worked with him for 2 days in LA, but we had an awesome rapport. We got along really well. And he came to respect me a lot over the course of those 2 days. And so when Bloodshot came around, 3-4 years later, I sent him a tape just like any other audition. And then he hit me up and was just like, hey, man, I'm fighting for you. The studio really wants a rapper or someone that's like known, but not like an actor. But I'm really pushing for you because I remember what you did when we were shooting that trailer. And I just think you're a great actor. And so I ended up getting in there. So at one point we're in South Africa, we're in Cape Town shooting, and we're having a beer. And I was like, how's it going? Because this was his first major studio feature. He'd been directing video games and cinematic stuff for, a decade plus at that point. And he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm fucking stressed. Like this is hard. And there's all kinds of things that are going wrong, which is typical, major motion pictures, just all sorts of moving parts. And he's like, and there's just like, I need a scene in this location. It needs to be in the gym at RST, and it needs to do this and this. And I was like, okay, noted. And I went home and I wrote 3 versions of a scene because Tibbs never had a one-on-one scene with Vin's character. And I was like, all right, he just said it. And like, he didn't ask me to write anything. But I was like, let me swing my shot. Like, let me just shoot my shot. So I wrote 3 versions of basically a moment where Tibbs and Bloodshot could have a little bit of empathy, a little bit of like, I actually do understand where you are coming from. I went through the same thing, right? You and I are a similar breed. And it didn't end up obviously being in the movie. But when I sent them to Dave, he was like, I really deeply appreciate this. And it was what I was trying to do was investigate a character that I knew in the script as it was written was intended to be just like a supporting side. Like we were not going to explore this guy. He was going to be present, but we weren't going to like really learn who he was and what he was about. So I was just trying to give like 2 minutes of that selfishly to myself as an actor, because this was my first major Hollywood blockbuster movie. But also from a storytelling perspective, I'm always more interested in characters, even if they're small, that have a little bit of depth and richness to them. And so while that didn't end up making the movie, if there was to be a sequel, I would love to explore, like, maybe not go so far as flashback to his accident and the mission as to why he went blind and all that sort of stuff, but to see more of how them being essentially cyborgs, like I'll use that word, even though that's not really what they say in the film, but like that's what they are. They have these medical implants that give them powers, and they're part machine, part person. And essentially, like, what is the cost of being a cyborg? Like, what does it cost him to have 360 vision all the time? And what does it feel like when he takes it off? Does he ever take it off? Or is he actually like desperate to take it off? He only wears it when he has to do the work, but otherwise he like wants to be blind all the time. He would prefer to not see anymore because he's seen too much, like that kind of vibe. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great answer. Not only that, though, but in the first movie, you had shared with me for the first time that Vin invited you to his camp and welcomed you in. So in the movie, there's a certain scene where Tibbs looks at Vin Diesel's character, Bloodshot, and gives him a nod.
Yeah.
Like, there's that little nod there. And I thought that was cool because, like, I don't know, I feel like that experience you had being invited to his camp really showed that camaraderie, and it came through in the character. So I agree. I think they should make a sequel because the first one's great, and there's things they can do to bring your character back. I mean, you just saw him fall, you didn't see him land, and he's a cyborg, like you said. So, I mean, there's a lot they can do. So I agree. Let's make it happen. Bloodshot 2. We need
That was
it.
always the joke. I was like, listen, you don't see me die. You don't like, you just see me fall.
Right.
Yeah.
I was bummed when I saw that. I was like, no.
But you don't see a body, baby.
Yeah, they do need to make a second Bloodshot. I'm glad you loved it too. It was a great movie, man. It's really fucking cool. It should have been rated R though. That's my only critique. It's my only critique.
I think those are decisions that come from none of us. You know what I mean? The studio's like PG-13 or whatever. I forget what it was rated, but like it'll sell better, right?
At least it's not like what it was in the early 2000s where they'd have a clearly rated R movie that they cut down to PG-13 because of 9/11. Really, that's why. All right, my next question for you is, what was it like working on the game Gotham Knights? I literally had no idea you were in that until last night.
Yeah. That was a surprising, like that one was pretty chill because I was mostly playing a bunch of like random various NPCs of the different factions. But that job lasted so much longer than I thought it would, because usually those NPC jobs are like day playing. You know, you come in and maybe it's like 2 to 4 days total, or maybe even just a day. And for some reason, that job turned into like a month altogether of work. It was like an incredible amount of work. And it was an example of someone having seen, they had played Mafia, and I forget, I think it was Simon out of Ubisoft, like at least 1 or 2 of the directors and developers had played Mafia and basically were like, we had already cast, you know, like the main characters in this. We just really love your performance. So like we were thrilled that you accepted to be some of the NPCs. And I think something that maybe not everyone thinks this way, but particularly as a voice actor, I am less precious about sharing my voice. Like if someone, I love games. I just love like being involved in the process, and I like seeing the behind the scenes of it. And I also just, it's fun. It's like 13-year-old me gets off on being like, oh yeah, I'm in this game, and like I'm a little character in this game, and like if you do this secret mission in this game, then you'll find me here. And so like I really don't mind going from getting nominated for a BAFTA for Mafia for being the player character to being like, yeah, I'm just like a bunch of random thugs in this Gotham Knights game, right? Or playing, like I did a Fallout DLC and like playing a creepy shopkeeper, right? That actually was like one of the most fun things I've ever done because it was so off-brand for me. And I really enjoy, I've mentioned in a couple other interviews that like when I was in theater school, I liked playing old people, sick people, aliens, people who weren't me, basically. I didn't want to play like young dudes. I wanted to play grandpas. And of course, when you're in high school, that's more acceptable because you don't have grandpas. Like some kid has to be the one being like, I'm the one who comes in. And,
back in my day.
That's exactly right. Whereas in the real world, they just go hire a 75-year-old, right?
Right.
And so I really enjoy getting the opportunity to play characters that people would never expect of me, like creatures or
Ooh, that goes into my next question. Playing Chupacabra and Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai.
Yeah.
What was that like, man?
Super fucking fun. Super fun.
Can't feed him after midnight.
That's like that job. The animation style of that show is really cool. I really liked it. And it you don't always get the opportunity in games or animation to see rendered cinematics. And I had like what I would call, it was still probably 2 passes away from being fully rendered when I was in the booth. But I got to like see the show. You know, I was basically dubbing. Like I wasn't actually dubbing because no one else had done the lines, but I was picture matching, which isn't always what you do. Oftentimes the animators will animate to your voice rather than the other way around. And in this case, I was trying to match the animation that I'm looking at on screen.
I just did that last semester in school.
Was
I'm back in audio engineering school, and part of it was film
nice.
classes and overdubbing, and we redid the scene from Finding Nemo, the shark bait scene, and I played Gil. I did a really good Willem Dafoe.
That's awesome.
But with the Boston accent.
That shit's really fun, and like animation's a world. I think I've done Gremlins, Elena of Avalor. I haven't done that much animation. And that's a world that I would love to do more of, because you really get to go far. Because often, especially depending on the demographic, right? Like if you're doing an Adult Swim thing, sometimes those are really wacky and crazy, but other times it's like kind of more straightforward. And then when you're doing kids animation, and particularly like preschool animation or elementary school age stuff, you can really be completely wacky and zany, and it's just fun. It's less pressure, which I love pressure, to be honest, but it's also nice sometimes to be in the booth and be like, I can just fuck around. Like I'm not really going for where's the BAFTA. It's like it's not necessarily about emotional truth, even though I'm always trying to bring emotional truth. For the Chupacabra, it's like, man, just get as wacky as you can. Just get in there, bro. Just get in. And like, it was literally a bunch of fairy tale creatures like gambling and drinking in a saloon. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not there to be heady and really take it super serious. The
Have
serious
fun with it.
How much fun you can have.
Yeah. And that does lead into my next question, because with layers and gravitas and characters, right? What you gave to Lincoln Clay. If Mafia 4 gets made with the 1970s Vegas theme, would you return as Lincoln Clay, even if as a cameo?
I would return anytime 2K gave me a call. Literally the second they called me, or my agent, I would be like, cool, I'll go to Petaluma. See you. I love Lincoln. I loved that job while I was working on it. I love what that project did for people of color and gamers of color, and giving us an option to see ourselves as a protagonist. The emotional catharsis of being a black man in the 60s and stringing up white politicians that had been fucking people over for decades. Like,
felt good for me.
Like,
I love that game.
It was really incredible, and I would happily hop back in the suit for that anytime. Yeah, the only I joked about this on another interview. The only drawback to doing Mafia was that I got to see what life would have been like if I was actually 6'4", and so there's some tiny part of me that dies every time I have to go back to being 5'9".
Thank God you're 5'9". I'm 6'2", and it sucks. My size shoe is 13. It's hard to find a pair of shoes that are nice.
Airplanes must suck.
I'm good on those. I'm not 6'7". My buddy MJ is 6'7". I feel for him. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we got the Old Country finally coming out, so now we have the door open for Mafia 4, and I'm sure Hank's working on it already.
So I mean, I have had twice now where a trailer came out that I was like, wow, this is amazing, and then was rocky reception in the beginning. But the trailer for Old Country looks awesome.
Yes, it does.
Looks really cool, really fun. Like even the buggy, like the driving animation and sort of the wind sweeptness of it is cool. It feels to me like they're using some of the assets from Mafia 3 for the combat stuff, because even the way
they did for the remake too.
Yeah, that I assumed. I kind of was like, oh, in a remaster they're going to use some of this, some of these assets. But I don't even mind it. Like it looks, the flavor in the world looks beautiful. It looks really fucking cool. I look forward to playing it.
The only issue I had with the remake doing it as a collector is because the Mafia 2 Definitive is so botched. You have to play the original if you want to play like the full experience, and the controls are different between the 1 remake, 2, and then 3. So you have to like get adjusted to all. That's my only critique, though, really.
Sure.
And 2K, please update the definitive edition of 2. All right. So what are some things that you've learned in working in the entertainment industry since we last spoke?
Oof. Since we last spoke.
That was 3 years ago. Went by like.
Yeah, no, dude. Every day. Like time just keeps ticking. The Serenity thing is probably the biggest one. I mean, being an actor or being an artist of any kind is a very uncertain life. And I've been used to that for a long time. And in my 20s, I kind of got off on the uncertainty. Like uncertainty wasn't just something to be dealt with. It was like actively a draw. It was a pro, and now I will say the uncertainty, I won't go so far as to say it's a con. It is definitely not something I look forward to. And the advantage of uncertainty is that literally any day of my life, I can get a phone call that will change the course of my life. I can get a phone call that says you're going to move to London for 6 months and work on a really cool project. That could happen at any moment. And the reality, the flip side of that, is that most days that call does not come. Most years, even, that call does not come. Most of the calls you get are, here's like a pretty normal job that will help you pay your bills and you'll keep it moving. And I'm one of the lucky ones who get to, I do this full time. I haven't had another job since I was 22. And I'm very grateful for that. But mentally, it's very taxing to not know when your next check is coming, to not know whether a project is going to be successful, despite all the hard work you put into it. And I think when I was in my 20s, I thought that I could somehow get more control, like that the uncertainty, eventually I would be able to corral it. And the serenity is in my 30s. I know for a fact that will never happen, most likely. Like, you still read stories about The Rock or Brad Pitt not getting a role that they wanted because they went with some other A-list actor, right? And so while, yes, of course, someone like The Rock or Brad Pitt can greenlight a movie, has their own production companies, can do their own projects, there's still times where they want something and even they can't have it. Even they get told no, right?
Yeah. Brad Pitt produced Kick-Ass. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, his production, he also produced Moonlight. His production company produced Moonlight. Like, he does a lot of cool things. And I think so something that I've taken up in the last 2.5 years is salsa. So I dance a ton. Like, it's like a huge part of my life now.
That's in the rapid fire round. I was going to ask you some dance questions. So nice. That's coming.
That's, I've learned a lot through that, because for me, salsa is much more controllable. I live in New York City. New York City is like a mecca for this particular dance form. It was largely invented here. It's a mix of Cuban rhythms and American dance styles like jazz, tap, mambo. And the beauty of having an artistic pursuit that isn't my job is that when I don't get those phone calls, I have something else that I love dearly that still is related to the thing that I do. So while I'm in the in-between times, I have a thing that keeps me excited and artistically invested, rather than just sort of sitting on my ass doing nothing or being frustrated, being like asking, wait, I had 5 amazing auditions in the last 2 weeks. I haven't heard back from any of them. Why is this happening? Why is it? Why am I not booking? And instead I go, wait, I just want to go dance. So like, if they call me, they call me. And if not, I'm going to keep learning about connection and being present, which is my job on set. Like,
you're not putting all your energy into one place, and then the things are happening naturally around you.
Exactly. And you stop worrying as much about the things that you can't control, because you have an outlet that you can control. I have the good fortune of being in New York where I can go out dancing any night of the week, right? Or if I want to get better, there's 100 teachers that I can take classes from, and like 25 masters of craft. You know what I mean? People who aren't just teachers, they're not just pretty good. They're like some of the best people in the entire world at the thing that I like doing. Whereas with acting, there's a lot of charlatans and a lot of people who'll take your money and not teach you anything.
Yep. Or scams.
It's more of a long-term commitment kind of vibe. Just like the teaching model is different than it is in dance. Whereas as a dancer, you can go into any room and just like pick up a choreography, right? Like take a class, and often you want to be there long-term. But if I'm in Seoul, Korea, and I just want to take a class randomly, I can. Whereas if I want to take an acting class, that might be an option, but I don't say this to aggrandize myself. I say this because the reality is I'm not going to get much out of just one random class from some random teacher I don't know. Like, I need more than that to actually grow as an actor. I've been doing it professionally for 15 years, and I learn on every single job that I'm on, but it's largely how I know how to learn. I teach myself. You know what I mean? And I think that's the responsibility of every artist, is to always be paying attention, always be observing. So like, for example, even on the subway, I have my headphones in, but I'm observing with my eyes. Like, I love people watching because my job is acting. I'm responsible for observing behavior. So just watching human beings exist, that's part of my job. Whereas other people, it's easier to check out and be like, oh, I'm tired. I'll just look at my phone. And I'm not perfect. Sometimes I am looking at my phone. But much of the time, I'm just sort of looking at like the 100 million characters that live in New York that are on the subway, and they don't know that they're being observed. So they're just behaving. Whereas when someone knows that they're being watched, they change their behavior.
Yeah. And then you get caught, right? And then they're like, all weird about it. No, there's nothing wrong with people watching. Like it's how you could study the character of humanity. It's a cool thing, you know. My good friend Corey says y'all are making work amazing right now. Sorry you're stuck at work, man. All right, I got the rapid fire round. We kind of blew through all the questions.
Let's do it.
But before I do that, I wanted to ask one more. What is any advice you want to give people trying to start out in the entertainment industry?
Pick a lane. So figure out what you really love doing. Like, what would you do if no one paid you? What would you do if it cost you money to do it? And once you figure that out, commit to learning everything you can about it and have the humility to know you ain't hot shit. You're not. I don't care what town you're from. Once you leave your homeland and go to New York, LA, Chicago, or even if you stay at home, but you join the internet sphere of what you do and you're really putting your work out there, you will see immediately the world is filled with people who are much better than you at it. And that's a good thing because it means you have so much to learn and ways to grow. And for me, I don't act because I think I'm great at it. I act because I think I have a lot to grow in it. And like, I love it. I love the act of storytelling. I like pretending to be other people, but also I like exploring my own humanity within it. So whatever I'm doing, it's the same in dance. Like my objective in acting is to learn more about myself by pretending to be other people. My objective in dance is to feel a spontaneous, genuine joy that I can share with other people. And so those are slightly different, right? The objectives in each of those things is a little bit different. So I go about them differently. And I think once you pick your lane and you humble yourself to say, this is a learning process. It's not an end run to make money. It's not an end run to be famous. It's not an end run to even feel good about yourself. I don't feel good about acting and dance all the time. In fact, when I'm in a growth process, an active growth process, like a class or being on set, I'm often quite frustrated. I've learned in my age to not share that frustration with everybody because it either throws people off their game or it's just not good energy to have in the room. But I'm often frustrated with myself or others. And when it's with others, I have learned tools and habits to like continue to collaborate and work with them because that's an important part of the process. And when it's with myself, I've learned, am I trying to learn through this frustration or am I just holding myself back? If I'm trying to learn through this frustration, like for example, I'm being shown a dance step that I can't do, like I'm not coordinated enough with my feet to go heel, toe, heel, toe, heel at the clip you're asking me to do it, that's a good thing. I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to let that frustration sit because I know that I can one day, but it's not today. And you're still asking me to do it. And so I look dumb and that's all right. I can be frustrated at looking dumb with something that I know one day I will go home and practice and get. If it's something that I'm simply frustrated because maybe I'm tired or, you know, me and this teacher don't really get along. I actually don't like your style. This is information that I then need to say, have this feeling, but you need to let this go. Like this isn't serving you. You're not learning from this kind of frustration. You're just wallowing in a feeling. And I don't need to stifle the feeling. I should have it, but I should be able to let it go. It's a very like yogic practice. Let the thought come. It's not about like, I'm not thinking thoughts, I'm meditating. I'm not thinking anything, I'm meditating. It's like a thing comes up where you go, hey, I'm pretty hungry. Okay. I think I smell a little bit. Okay. I'm a little tired. Okay. And you just keep it moving. Because unless you're going to act on the thought or the feeling, just let it come and go. Like there's no need to dwell in it.
That's a great answer. That was so intricate and layered. Thank you. I appreciate that. And to anyone who needs that, anyone else who needs that, because I needed that. Damn. I hope that helps you as well. All right, the rapid fire round. Let's get this shit out of the way and close it out. I'm excited. Lincoln Clay versus Jacob Diaz. Who wins?
Oh, I'm gonna say Jacob because he has the drone. He's got tech on his side. I think if we're taking away like hand to hand, it's Lincoln.
Yeah, it's Lincoln.
But if
but
we're allowing
Mindseye too,
stuff, then I got to give it to Jacob.
All right, Jacksonville Jaguars or Miami Dolphins? I know the answer.
Fucking neither, dude. Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I thought you'd pick the team of where you're from, but I respect that. That's awesome.
I started off in Georgia.
Oh, shoot. Okay, so you grew up in Jacksonville. Right. Stranded on an Island. What one album do you pick?
Oh shit. One album. I'm gonna go with Cantor del Pueblo by Havana de Primera.
Love it. That's amazing. All right. Rockstar Games or 2K Games? That's a trick question. Same parent company.
Same parent company. Yeah. It's like
2K. There you go. Favorite dance move?
I do this thing very often where I basically do limbo. Like in the middle of something, I'll pull someone across and then I'll just do a giant back bend while they go over me, and it always gets a like, wah!
Love it. Favorite dance song?
Oh fuck. Tres Días by Alexander Abreu and Havana de Primera.
Wonderful. Favorite food?
Peanut butter. 100%. I eat like a third of a jar a day.
Wow, it's good protein too. Favorite movie?
I said this on another pod. What Dreams May Come. Really beautiful Robin Williams movie from the early aughts, I think.
Love Robin Williams. Favorite video game you're not in?
Ooh. I said Breath of the Wild the other day, and that probably is the right answer, but I'm gonna say I'll go with Hades.
I haven't played that yet. Is it good?
Dude,
I'll have to get it
on it. It's so good. The thing that they do really well. Sorry, this is a long-winded answer for the rapid fire, but like the thing they do really well is I hate repetitive gameplay, and the whole point of the game is repetitive gameplay. You play through it once, and you think you're like, oh, I beat it, and you realize, oh, I have to beat it like 40 times for me to learn the story. The story only unravels over the course of like 20 to 30 playthroughs.
That's actually why I enjoy Mafia 3.
Yeah.
No, seriously, that's why I enjoy Mafia 3. I like the fact that you have to work for it until you get to the end of the monotonous nature of it. People, that's a critique for people. I like it.
Totally.
Favorite video game you are in? Yeah, I think I just played it last night. It's still really good. They've updated it, so it's
good,
not as glitchy as it was. It's so good. And that 10 out of 10 soundtrack. The only thing I'm sad about is there's no Beatles, and there's no one other band. There's another huge band from that time that's not in there.
I think you can imagine why they are.
Yeah, because they paid the Stones a lot of money.
Yes, they did.
All right, I have one final question for you. What do you have for some plugs, shout outs, etc.?
The biggest one is I'm doing this play in LA. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's a really beautiful piece by a guy named Rudy Goblin. It's going on at the Geffen Theater in the month of October and possibly November if we sell well. And it's about two Nicaraguan brothers. One is white passing, one's black, and they moved to the United States. The white passing one is older, and he's sort of a father figure to the younger one. And it's about how they interact with the American dream. And so the older white one is like, just get a job, just behave, just like be a normal person. And the younger black one is like, I want to be a star, dude. That's what America's about. It's about being famous and putting yourself out there and being an individual. And the younger one's like, just keep your head down, your nose clean. Like this country's not made for us. We're just lucky to be here. Just shut the fuck up and do your job.
Sounds like a really good play.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Everybody who's in the LA area, please go support Alex's play.
It's called Little Boy, Little Man.
Little Boy, Little Man. If you want to stick with me just for a minute, Alex, I'm going to close it out.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone for listening to and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast, for a very special third time with our dear friend Alex Hernandez. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.